What's good, IB Nation? Welcome to another edition of the Irish Breakdown podcast, unscheduled, because there's another commitment, and we roll when they roll, and that's how it goes, man. And so,
kind of unscheduled. Publicly, it was unscheduled.
Publicly, we're talking publicly. You'll get your chance at the backstory, sir. Okay,
I'm talking about our backstory, brother.
But no, this is a big one for Notre Dame. Preston Fryzel commits to Notre Dame. He's a 6'4", 215-pound tight end out of Toledo, Ohio, Central Catholic High School. And this is a big one for Notre Dame. It came down to Notre Dame, Miami, and Iowa, the three schools that are arguing maybe with each other about being tight end U. And he picked Notre Dame.
I've never seen that before. Like,
just saying.
It's fascinating to think about this, Vince, but I've never seen a tight end, especially, that had Notre Dame, Miami, and Iowa. I've seen kids with Notre Dame and Iowa. I've seen kids with Notre Dame and Miami, but I've never seen a kid say, these are my three finalists: Notre Dame, Miami, and Iowa, the three schools that are debating and in the conversation for who is tight end U. And in this particular case, fellas, Notre Dame won the day. Shocker. And a shocker that they got a kid from Northwest Ohio that goes to a Catholic school committed to Notre Dame. I am shocked.
I know, right?
That happened, but big win nonetheless.
Yeah, no, this is the 20th overall commitment in this class, in the 2026 class, and it is the fourth domino to fall from that big recruiting weekend from last weekend. So this is a big one. First tight end off the board for Notre Dame. I know that they are going to be in the hunt for more, but we'll get to that later on in the show. But you know, this is a big one for Notre Dame, no doubt about it. Brian, we're going to do it how we always do it. Give us the backstory, how this all went down, and what led to this commitment at this time being, again, the fourth domino from that weekend publicly.
It was an interesting recruitment, Vince, because obviously Notre Dame was in on some kids. A lot of tight ends early on, had some kids they liked. Some of those kids went elsewhere. Some weren't all that interested. And then you get, like late in the process, Notre Dame's kind of like, okay, there's some kids we like, but we're not sure where we stand. We maybe we can take a bigger class than we thought we could at tight end. And then all of a sudden, Preston Fryzel pops up. In about a week, they offered, I believe it was 3 different tight ends in the country. And so Notre Dame jumps in the mix for Preston Fryzel, and basically it became very quick. Like, look, if they want this kid and push for this kid, they're going to have a great shot to get this kid. So they offered him on May 21st as part of sort of a let's expand the board a little bit. And I also think he's one of those kids, Vince, that they're look. We'll talk more about it in the show Sean and I are going to do today. But as far as just like from a Notre Dame standpoint, specific, not related to Preston Fryzel, but there were some kids that fell through the cracks a little bit, let's just say, in the transition from the previous recruiting staff to the current recruiting staff. And I think Preston Fryzel was one of those kids that they just got on a little bit later because the board was set. They were kind of getting their new staff in place. And then all of a sudden, once they get in place, you've already got a bunch of visits scheduled, all these different things. And so Notre Dame got on him late. And Miami got on him late also, and schools like Minnesota, Iowa, teams like that were already really on Preston Fryzel. And if you go back and look at his junior film or sophomore film, you'll see a kid that also physically grew quite a bit from sophomore to junior year. So his sophomore film, when the previous staff was really looking at things, would not have been Notre Dame caliber just because his body type. He's a good football player, but just body type. He filled out, grew another inch, it appears. I mean, just looking at him on film, filled out, got even more explosive. And then you watch his junior film and you're like, okay, this is a Notre Dame caliber kid. And that's kind of how the process went. But the backstory is pretty easy, Vince. Once Notre Dame got on him and it was very clear that they wanted him, it was like they were going to get him. So like, I wish I had this really cool story that was like, then Mike Denbrock said the magic words Mike Denbrock said is, you've been offered a scholarship by Notre Dame.
Right.
And then it was pretty much like, okay, if they wanted him, they were going to get him. And he got on campus within 2 weeks, came on campus that first week of June on an unofficial, immediately scheduled an official visit, came on the visit. And Vince, I think you noted it's the fourth domino to fall from that weekend. It's the fourth domino to fall publicly. So for those on the board, the first dancing gift that I put up during the visit weekend was Preston Fryzel. So they knew that weekend he was coming. It was just about how you're gonna announce it to the world, so to speak. So
Right.
it was, and so then, I mean, you kind of have him on campus that weekend as almost, he wasn't a commit per se. He told the coaches he wanted to come, but they're still treating him like a recruit. But it's almost like you've got another kid that's talking good about Notre Dame on the visit. So that's kind of how it went to be. Not a crazy backstory type of wow, that twists and turns. It was like Notre Dame just got on them later than maybe I think they would have if there wasn't that transition. That's kind of what I think. Because, like, there's some guys they were on early that they were on from last year, like Isaac Jensen and some guys like that, or guys that I like. But I'm like, look, I look at, J.C. Anderson got an offer a year ago, even Evan Jacobson. And then you look at this kid's film and you're like, this is a better prospect than those guys. But they were better sophomores than what Preston was. And I think his junior year kind of got lost in the mix a little bit because of the transition that Notre Dame was going on. And the coaches put a lot on the recruiting staff to do a lot of the film breakdowns and finding these type of kids, because the coaches were focused on this thing called, trying to win a national championship. And then right afterwards, you have this big shakeup with the recruiting office. Chad Bowden leaves, and then Caleb Davis leaves, and then they go through this period of time, and they're going to get this guy, and then they get this guy. And there's just some kids that fell through the cracks, which, again, speaks volumes about how good this class is that they went through all that. But I think Preston Fryzel is one of those kids that just fell through the cracks. And once the staff sort of started looking around, the recruiting operation got in place. The Notre Dame staff, Harris Biven, did a great job in this recruitment. Not Hunter Biven, Harris Biven, the brother that Mike Denbrock brought with him from LSU, who helps Mike Denbrock coach the tight ends, was someone that we've heard mentioned often in this recruitment. So I think Harris Biven's probably, I would imagine, I don't know this for a fact, but I would imagine was part of the process of finding Preston Fryzel as well. And then, of course, Notre Dame went out and got him. And once they got involved, guys, they made quick work with this one. It was a matter of when, not if, after Notre Dame offered. And it was an offer that it was understood to be, hey, we want you, not just here's an offer, but we're trying to close on some other guys. And then once we see what they're going to do, then we'll push on. It wasn't. The minute they offered him, it was like, dude, we're offering you because we want you. And then it's a matter of get the kid on campus and seal the deal.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a quick turnaround for sure, but very, very exciting because watching this kid's film, this kid's a good prospect, and I'm very interested to see what happens senior year. But after the backstory, Trevor, now that he's in this class, what's the class impact? How does he impact this class again? Being the first tight end in the class, all of those different things. 20th commitment overall. Notre Dame is just inching their way right up the rankings as far as things are concerned. So. What's the class impact, Trevor?
Yeah, we talk a lot on the show about the fit in the class, and you want to do a good job of complementary recruiting and making sure that you have guys that you recruit and you stack different classes that can play on the field together at the same time. With Preston Fryzel, he is the 11th offensive commit in this class, I believe, and he is somebody that is now going to complement the previous tight end that they brought in in the 2024 class, and James Flanagan. Now, no, Preston Fryzel is in the 25 class. I'm saying James Flanagan.
James Flanagan is in the 25 class. Preston Fryzel is in the
26 class.
Yeah.
26 class. So, in the 25 class, they brought in James Flanagan. Preston Fryzel is a really good complement to him because they play differently. James Flanagan is a very traditional tight end. He does his best work attached to the line of scrimmage. You see his film, it is a mixed bag of, he's deleting blockers. He's making catches up the seam. He is what you think of. I don't want to call it like an old school tight end, but it's
tradition, throwback.
Yeah.
I like the word throwback.
It's what you think.
He likes to hurt you.
Exactly. And it's what you think of in a throwback tight end. With Preston Fryzel, it's a little bit different of a conversation. We're going to pull up his film here in a minute. But you'll see he rarely lines up attached to the line of scrimmage. They use him essentially as a big-bodied receiver and a very talented, athletic, long, big-bodied receiver at that. But they needed a movement tight end in this class. It's somebody who's going to complement James Flanagan, and that is why this pickup is so important. That's the impact of this class, because now Notre Dame is doing a really good job of stacking recruits who are kind of in line to play alongside one another. They needed somebody to complement James Flanagan in this class. He is a very athletic tight end, though. You know, I don't want to say strictly used as a pass catcher in high school, but I mean, when you pull up the film,
you can say it.
Strictly used as a pass catcher in high school.
He's more of a receiver than he is a tight end in high school. Like, that's just being honest about it. Trev's trying to be nice.
Well, he's only 215 pounds.
But it doesn't speak to that's still big tight end in high school. It's not, but it's not about him. That's just how he's used. You know, it's like to Trev's point, when they're running run plays, he's running an RPO route. It's just the offense. It's not like they're like, oh, this kid can't freaking block my grandmother. It's just that's just kind of how the offense runs. But please continue, my friend.
Yeah, he play style wise and utilage wise. I mean, size wise, he's a little bit smaller than Mike Gesicki, but how he's used, like predominantly as a receiver, very long athletic pass catcher. It's kind of got shades of him a little bit when he went to Penn State, because Mike Gesicki was essentially a really big receiver in high school. And I get a little bit of that when I watch Preston's film, which I'm excited to jump into here a little bit. But he is a good pass catching tight end for sure.
You know, Trev, I put Noah Fant on my player comp. I haven't published it yet, but I'm going to change that because I actually really like the Mike Gesicki one. Like, Noah Fant to me is more of the body type in high school that he was, but Noah Fant would line up attached a lot more in high school. I really like the usage is very similar to that. I actually like that one. I'm going to change that one. So I like that one. I think Mike, just the vertical player.
Yep.
I think Noah Fant's a good one as well, but I think the Gesicki one is better because I think Noah Fant was even still a little bit thicker than Preston was in high school, but I like that Gesicki one. Like I said, not as tall, probably about 2-3 inches shorter than Mike Gesicki was, but I like that. And I also thought about Tyler Eifert a little bit too, because if you remember in high school, Vince, you'll remember this probably more than Trevor. Tyler Eifert, as a junior in high school, was a boundary receiver. He was 200 pounds, and he came to Notre Dame's camp. I mean, I just used to lose my mind about why Notre Dame wouldn't offer him. He's from Fort Wayne, Bishop Luers. I'm looking, I'm like loving the film. You could see the frame was big, but Notre Dame didn't offer him. They only offered Jake Golick and a couple other tight ends. And Tyler Eifert comes to camp, dominates at summer camp, and Notre Dame offered him, and the rest is history. But I think Preston's a lot thicker than Tyler was coming out. I don't know that Preston has the frame that Tyler Eifert had, but as a junior in high school, he's probably a little bit bigger than what Tyler was as a junior in high school. But I felt like Tyler was more of a pure outside guy in high school, where Preston is more of a slot guy. And so I think that Noah Fant, Mike Gesicki school, I like that. That's a good comp. I think not height wise, but body type wise, I think that one makes a very interesting comp. So I like that one. That's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Thank you.
Look at that. Yeah. Peek behind the curtain, how things operate around here.
And the other thing, too, about the class impact, they want at least 2 tight ends in this class. My understanding is there's a chance they would take 3 because they're not held to the 85-man scholarship limit. And the other part, too, Trev, is you nailed the compliment to James Flanagan part, which is very important. Like, they don't mind getting another like him, and I think that's kind of where Evan Jacobson would come into play if they're able to get him. He's a bit more traditional as well. He'll line up outside, but he's more of a guy you're going to eventually want to grow into an attached guy. But they wanted at least one of these guys that you're putting James in like the attached Y position, and then you're putting, a guy like Preston Fryzel in sort of that H-back position where he's going to move around, be in the slot, do that kind of stuff. And so I think that is the other part of it too, is that's the one part of it. But the other part of it too is you look at the numbers, guys, and right now Notre Dame's got 6 tight ends on the roster. You're going to lose Kevin Bauman after this year for sure. You're going to lose Eli Raridan after this year for sure. Then you go into next year, barring 2026, barring Cooper Flanagan not playing at all this year, or at least not until the final 4 games, which could be possible. He's going to go into next year in his final year. Ty Washington in 2026 is in his final year. So you're looking at the roster right now, and barring a potential redshirt by Cooper Flanagan, assuming Cooper stays at Notre Dame, and I hope he does. I'm not hearing that he isn't. It's just in this day and age, it's just kind of a caveat for every position. You're going into 2027 with 2 scholarship tight ends coming back in James Flanagan and Jack Larson. Maybe you have Cooper Flanagan going into his last year. So 3 in a class. Sorry, guys. My mic came out. Can you guys hear me? So 3 in a class makes sense because at least 1 or 2 of them are going to redshirt. And I think Preston Fryzel is one of those guys that's a redshirt candidate. But just numbers-wise, there was also a need for more in this class also. At least 2. You need at least 2 in this class. Preston gives you 1.
So it's about that time. And in case you have missed a couple of commitment shows, this is my favorite part of the show. And so we're gonna jump in the film and we're gonna watch Preston Fryzel's junior film, maybe throw in a little sophomore film. We'll see, depending on time and all those fun different things. But we're gonna throw on his junior film. We're gonna see it. And just so you're aware, 43 catches, 807 yards, 10 touchdowns. And these are the highlights.
18.8 per catch.
Yeah, you're going to see some pretty good highlights out of Preston Fryzel.
And where he plays too, in that area of Toledo, they play a pretty good schedule. And so if you look at Toledo Central Catholic's football schedule, not only do they play sort of the Northwest Ohio teams and they play quality teams there, but they also play some good teams from up in Michigan. They'll play out of conference games against good teams from Michigan. In 2025, for example, they're going to play Cass Tech to start their 2025 season. But if you go back in 2024, they play Toledo Whitmer, which is a really good football team. They play St. Ignatius. Obviously, we all know those. They play Toledo St. John's Jesuits, good team. They play St. Mary's Prep. They play Toledo St. Francis de Sales, who's a good football team. And then they also play teams from Michigan. Like I mentioned, they played De La Salle Collegiate last season, who's a Michigan team. We all know, obviously, like about St. Ignatius. They played Mona Shores last year, who was a 9-2 team from the state of Michigan. They played Brother Rice last year, who's from the state of Michigan. So, and then De La Salle is an 8-3 playoff team from Michigan as well. So, they play this is a good schedule. And Northwest Ohio usually doesn't get like a lot of love for like great football, but they played a good schedule and then made it all the way to the state championship game last year and got beat by Bishop Watterson. But he's playing good competition as well. This isn't like a man amongst boys. None of these kids are going to play college football. They play Findlay to start the season, so they play good football team. They also played Catholic Central from Novi. You guys are probably familiar with that program. They've sent some kids D1. They went 12-1 last year, lost to Cass Tech in the state title game, I believe. They also played them. Toledo Central Catholic played them, beat them 21-7. So it's a good football program he plays for, and they play very good competition, which you guys are going to see as we dive into this film as well. But I know Vince is like, Brian, shut it. We're trying to watch some film. Let's go.
Come on, man.
It's like I said it on the inside. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's right.
First thing you guys are going to notice, though, fellas, is first of all, if you want like watching game film, there's 3 of his full games online on YouTube, so you can actually find there's actually full game film. This right here is against De La Salle Collegiate in Michigan. You guys are going to see 2 things about Preston Fryzel. Number 1, he's kind of long and lanky, tall, 6'4", long arms. Number 2, he can run. This kid has legit speed, fellas. Like this kid has legit speed. And that's the biggest thing you're looking at is this is a kid that can run. Explosive off the line. You see the nice move there. Makes a nice catch. Very good ball skills, as you can see on the couple of these catches. Guys tracks the deep ball extremely well. He's a hands catcher, not a body catcher. Very good body control. Like you can throw slot fades to him. You just saw them throw a slot fade. Does a great job finding opening of space. But like, Trev, like if you're going to play as a flex tight end at Notre Dame, you've got to be able to win off the line. You've got to be able to catch some of those contested throws down the field. And that's one thing that there is no doubt about Preston Fryzel. You see there a little bit that good link there. You see the speed, but you've got to be able to win throws like that. You've got to be able to win plays like this, Trev, if you're going to be playing a lot detached in the Notre Dame offense. Otherwise, what are you good for? You're just a lead blocker. These are throws that have to be made, and he makes a lot of them on film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think he's a really good route runner for where he's at right now. Yeah. Sometimes I get a little concerned when you hear tight end really kind of split out playing wide receiver a lot. My immediate thought goes to, okay, well, he's just bigger than a lot of the 5'9" DBs or linebackers he's going against in high school. He's a good route runner. And one thing that we're starting to learn about Mike Denbrock's offense through some of the things we've seen in the blue gold game is they want to get the ball in the hands of the tight end to make plays down the field. I like his ability after the catch. I don't think he's tight-hipped either, which makes me comfortable when you start thinking about moving forward what he's going to do at the collegiate level. Because fact of the matter is he is just going to have to block. At some point in the Notre Dame offense, he will have to learn to block. But him having those tools, not being tight-hipped, being long, he kind of has that good foundation. But I couldn't agree more. Contested catches, he's great. Winning off the line, he's great. Really good route runner, man.
Like, look at this. Like, this is really nice understanding of leverage. You guys talk about leverage, right? This guy, he wants to get outside on this guy. Guy's playing him slightly inside, so he starts to work outside. Guy overplays, and what does he immediately do? He rips inside. Now, here's the problem. If he rips inside too soon, then against a well-coached team, then all of a sudden you've got a safety coming off the hash to beat him. But because he stems the guy outside, gets the guy to overplay, he then makes this quick move. He's now right where he wants to be, and he's able to make that play. So Trev, you talk about it. He understands things like attacking leverage. He understands about using his hands to win at the line. He does a surprisingly, for a skinnier kid, does a surprisingly good job of avoiding getting rerouted with his hands, not running around it, but using his hands to – he seems to have pretty strong hands, guys, and that's something you like from him, Trev. You talk about route running. This is a savvy player. This kid understands how to get open, how to throttle down. You see that
he understands space. Yeah, he understands space in the zone.
Right. Once he clears this guy, Vince, on this particular play, he starts to throttle because he knows, okay, he's recognizing zone. He now starts to throttle, and he's looking for the football because he knows I can't just go screaming across the line of scrimmage right here. I got to make sure that I'm getting open and getting to an open field, and he's pretty good. You know, guys, we saw Notre Dame do some stuff in the screen game with the tight ends in the spring. We saw Mike Denbrock use that little under screen a lot at LSU with Mason Taylor, who I think was a second-round draft pick this year. That is something that this kid can do because of the fact that he's fast, but also he's pretty good with the ball in his hands. This is another example, guys, of a route. He's got to get up on the safety. Look where the safety's at. What's the leverage of the safety here? Preston's about what? What'd you say? About 4 or 5 yards off the hash. Safety's about a yard off the hash. So what does he got to do? You run a post route 3 yards outside of safety, he's all over you. So Preston gets up and vertical on him, gets inside, attacks the leverage, then stems him vertically, and now he gets the guy leaning out. So watch the safety's reaction once Preston gets there and then leans him out, and he snaps it off, and he's open. Like, it won't be that easy in college, but that's the principles that you're going to want to use to win. And he's showing this as a junior in high school, fellas. And so you talk about it, Trev. You nailed it. He's a very good route runner when you consider his age and development. And he's going to keep getting better and better and better. So this kid's got a lot of tools to work with in the pass game. There's no question. We'll talk a little bit about some of his run game stuff afterwards, but and you can see he's skinnier. Look, this is not a bad stop route for a tight end, guys. Like, this is what's he do? What's it look like he's doing off the snap? What's it look like he's doing?
No, it looks like it's a go route. That's what you're supposed to
Bingo.
do right off the snap.
But
that's
go.
what you teach wide receivers.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly. Sell the go. Once this corner's hit or turned, he's toast on any kind of stop or comeback.
That's exactly right.
And then bam, look at that separation. He can square the guy up and then make a move. Nice stiff arm. That's why
Nice
he gets the ball in the outside arm.
Yeah.
But look how quickly he turns around, though, fellas. Like, this kid's got really nice feet. Like, really nice feet. Like, he's a borderline top 100 player, if not a top 100 player in the pass game. And I'll tell you why. I have him graded as a 4-star top 250 player, and I'll explain why here in a minute. But, like, efforts in the run game's fine. Like, good effort there, right? Nice stalk, pancakes the guy. That's all great. It's not about a lack of, I don't think he wants to block, or it's just they don't use him. When you watch film, this is this is a decent route. I can't tell if this is a corner or an out cut, and that's what makes me think this is a smart play. Because if you're teaching a corner route and the safety's high, you don't break at a 45 over top because now you allow the safety to undercut you. So I think this is a corner route that he levels off because of the way the safety's playing.
Yeah.
That's what I think he's doing. I could be wrong, but that makes this a smart football play. And he's able to keep the safety on his back hip. So if I'm correct in evaluating what he was supposed to run there, that's a smart kid. It's a smart football player. And that's what Notre Dame is getting. So, but the athletic tools, you guys see it, man. Vince, you see it. This kid can absolutely run, and he knows how to play the game.
Yeah, I like, obviously he's outrunning a lot of guys on this film, but I also like his hands. I like his nose for the football. He high points it. He does all the things that you want somebody to do in a 50-50 setting. And if he watched the spring game this year, which I would bet you that he did, he sees quarterbacks that are going to give him an opportunity. So why not? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love the feet he shows on that particular play. Just the bit of just kind of sink his hips and snap down 1-2 and get out of a break. He can, and he doesn't just run well for where he's at. He just runs well, period.
Agreed.
Right.
Right. I've seen kids that are 4.7 that in certain leagues in high school are just toasting everybody. And then other kids, if you're a 4.7, I don't know that you can play receiver in this league. I mean, it's just depending on where you are. This kid can run, and it translates everywhere. This is another example. He's not running hard here. Why? Look at the
Finds
coverage.
a hole in his own. Yeah.
It's third. It looks like a third down and long. Safeties are bailing. He knows it's zone. I got to get open over the middle, find that spot, then make the play. I liked this because he was getting ready to make this guy miss, and then he's thinking, I got to make sure I get to the sticks, and he just plants. And do you see it right there? He's thinking about, okay, I think I can make this guy miss. And then it's like, oh, hold on a second. In order to make this guy miss, I got to go backwards. It's 3rd and 10. I got to get the first down. I think it's pretty good awareness of the situational awareness as well.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And even in some of the very limited blocking plays that we've seen him, he plays with really good feet. He has a good base when he blocks. Like I said, the tools are there. It's just schematically, they don't ask him to do it a whole lot. And when you watch his pass catching film, you kind of understand why. So
that's a weapon. I mean, he's an absolute
in
weapon.
high school. In high school, no reason for his high school coaches to care about attaching him to the line of scrimmage.
Agreed. Yeah.
Like that's not their job.
Because you want your best guys in
space.
space. Yeah. Like in high school, you want your best guys in space. That's where you're going to be successful. And he's one of their best guys.
I think this is against Ignatius, but this is a really nice route and catch here too, guys. I love that the only time you see him body catch is when the quarterback throws it into his gut. Which is when you do kind of like you catch a slant back hip, you kind of want to bring it into your body a little bit. So let's just talk about my one concern and the reason he doesn't grade out higher. I don't care how you use it at a tight end. You've got to show me the ability to block defensive ends and linebackers. You just have to. Otherwise, you're a wide receiver. And then you got to evaluate him like a receiver.
As a receiver.
And evaluate him athletically as a receiver and all those type of things. And honestly, he's kind of a hybrid receiver, tight end. Honestly, he's not a traditional tight end, but I do need to see an ability to block bigger players. I know in situations like this, he's going to be a really good perimeter blocker, like a receiver. Go ahead, Vince.
Sorry, I was watching that play and he got flagged for holding, but it looked good.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Watch the
line judge.
Coming. Oh yeah, yeah. They both threw it. The guy down in the boundary threw it too. Yeah. But like you're going to have the ability to ISO up inside in the 12 personnel.
Yeah.
Right now, the problem is right now, here's why this matters. You may say, well, it doesn't matter. He catches the ball real well. Okay, that's fine. But basically, that means you can't use him in 11 personnel unless you're going to throw. Because if you're going to use him in 11 personnel right now at Notre Dame and he doesn't show you can block, then you can't line up in attached formations. You can't use your tight end to lead block, to set the edge. You're basically with 10 personnel. And then if I'm basically in 10 personnel, I'm going to put 10 personnel on the field. That's just the reality of it. I need to know that in 11 personnel, this kid can give me something in the run game against linebackers and tight end and defensive ends. That's the knock that I have on him. And it's honestly, this is a really nice back shoulder catch. This is not a great ball. But honestly, guys, that's the reason his grade isn't higher as far as the current grade. That's why it's 4-star top 250, because you can't watch this kid. Like, he's a consensus 3-star recruit. I'm sorry. You can't watch this kid play and tell me this is a 3-star. I don't buy it. You could maybe go, maybe he's not top 250 for you, but, but my thing, guys, is that's the only thing holding him back from being a top 100 to 150 player is just I see nothing from him in the run game in a traditional tight end sense. He'll be a great perimeter run blocker, but that's basically evaluating him compared to Jaden Greathouse, not compared to Eli Raridan and Jack Larson and Mitchell Evans and Michael Mayer, guys like that, right? Because otherwise you're forced to only play him in 12 personnel, where you have a James Flanagan on the field. Now that's great when you're playing 12 personnel, but I can't give a guy a top 100 grade that's basically only going to be used in certain formation groups where he's going to be effective. You see what I'm saying? So It's not saying that Preston can't do that. I've never seen him do. I've watched 3 full games, and I don't know that I saw, again, it was late one night, but I don't remember seeing a single snap where he lined up attached and blocked an end. I just haven't seen it. He can end up being great at it, but that's why the upside grade is so high. I gave him a 4.5-star upside grade. He's a borderline top 50 overall player upside-wise. Filling out's going to be part of that. Getting stronger is going to be part of that, but then proving that he can block somebody other than DBs is the other part of that, guys. But loads of upside, and the want to in the run game is there on the perimeter, fellas. It's not a lack of that. It's just it's different blocking a guy that you're 40 pounds bigger than it is a guy that's 40 pounds bigger than you. Yeah, it's a different animal, and I just need to see him be able to do it. So that's kind of my thing, guys. Is what I just need to see from Preston. And once I see that, that's good. But just what he is as a pass catcher is plenty good enough to say this kid's at Notre Dame. This kid belongs at Notre Dame, because even if he's only a 12 personnel weapon or a 2-minute drill 11 personnel tight end, that's the other way you could use him in 12 personnel. If it's 2-minute drill or something like that, that's a pretty effective player in that role. Yeah. What's going to make him become a top 150 type of guy is more so, can he prove himself to be competent and capable in the run game? I don't need him to look like Tommy Trumbull. I don't need him to look like Brock Wright as a blocker. I don't need him to look like Troy Nicholas as a blocker. Mm-hmm. Tyler Eifert didn't do a whole lot of blocking 9 techniques in college either, but he could do it. And that's the thing that we needed to see a little bit more of from him. And if he can show that, then he gets to his upside a lot quicker. Then it comes to about filling out. And this is the closest thing you're going to see on film to him blocking on the edge. And this is a DB that's coming off the edge that he's blocking. But a lot of tools and talent with this kid, guys. A lot of talent with this kid. It's a very 100%. Good pickup.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Trevor.
It's tough to see on film, but Brian, how do you see him filling out to getting to that tight end size? Like ideal weight wise, like he's 215 now. I don't know if he's going to get up to 250, but when I look at his frame, what do you how would you gauge that as like a coach?
Just kind of seeing pictures of him, some people that I've talked to, watching him on film. I think he's going to be at least 240. Okay. In a couple years. I could see him being 225, 230-ish by the time he's a freshman, because if he's 215 now, he's not like Evan Jacobson is more skinny than Preston Fryzel is. But he's like 3 or 4 inches taller. And so I think when I look at Preston, I see a guy that's easily 240, 245. He could get to 250 before it's all said and done, Trev. I do think that frame is there for him to get there. Okay. It's just it's going to be a minute, I think, before he gets to 250. But I mean, he's bigger now than what Tyler Eifert was when Tyler Eifert was at Notre Dame or in high school at the same age. Tyler was a little bit thicker. And Tyler was 255 when it was 255, 260 by the time he was done in Notre Dame, I believe. I think it's more of that frame. Again, he's not going to be Troy Nicholas. He's not going to be Michael. He's not going to look like Michael Mayer. He's just not. But if he gets up to 240, that's plenty of size for a tight end in what Notre Dame's going to ask him to do. I mean, Notre Dame doesn't ask their tight ends to, block like Mark Bavaro. They're doing, getting backside on zone, blocking. They'll run inside zone, split and have the guy come back and block a 9 technique with some leverage. They'll ask you to double team with tackles on backside. They'll ask you to be a front side blocker on duo against the tight end, things like that. I mean, it's not like what it was when Lou Holtz was here, when Oscar McBride was playing tight end. It's a different animal than it is now, but you've still got to be able to do those things and do those things well to really help the offense. And so that's going to be the thing he's got to show to me, is that he can do those things. Otherwise, it limits how you can use him. Yeah. In 12 personnel, you can put him outside and it gets some really unique things. but he's just going to fill out because, like you guys saw it, the want-to's there. There's nothing about this kid that makes me think he lacks the willingness and toughness to block.
Yeah. I actually think he does a good job in space for such a big kid. I mean, yes, he's going against smaller guys.
Because he's super athletic,
But he does a good job of moving his feet, staying square, like all of those different things in
Vince,
space.
We see big-time tackles look really silly trying to block cornerbacks from time to time.
Exactly.
I mean,
100%.
That's where the athleticism piece comes into. But, it's one thing for me to think he's going to be good at it. It's another thing for me to say, but I need to see at least one clip of it before I can say. I don't want to spend too much time on that because the rest of it is an impressive overall skill set. Love the length, love the speed, and he's not just fast. I think it was Trev, you said it. He is not a tight-hipped kid who's going to be a little bit of a tight route runner. He's a very smooth athlete. And I think he does some things after the catch. He's got very good body control, very good route running, very good football IQ. All those things check out. It's just how's he going to fill out, and can he block anyone bigger than a safety? Once he proves that, guys, then I think his grade takes off. And he's one of those kids. I like to point this out. He's the type of kid that is why I created the grading system that I did, because you got to be able to differentiate the kids that have a bigger gap from what they are now to what they can be. And Preston Fryzel is one of those guys where right now, with what I see right now, he's going to be a really good niche player in 12 personnel and 2-man 11 personnel. If he fills out the way that I think he can, then all of a sudden he becomes a starting caliber player in 11 personnel or 12 personnel. Yeah, that's when he starts getting closer to that upside. And so that's what gets you excited about what he can be at Notre Dame. And this is a really good pickup. Really good pickup.
Well, I think it's about that time to see where Notre Dame is going to turn the page to next in this recruiting saga that is the 2026 class. And we warned everybody about this recruiting weekend that took place a little over a week ago and what could come of it. And so far, so good. I mean, this is, again, the fourth public domino to fall out of that weekend. I believe 4 for 4.
Won't be the last.
This is all I'm saying. So to that end, Brian, what's next? Both at the position, because we know that Notre Dame wants more than one tight end, but then also in this class, coming from that weekend, but in this class in general.
So they had another tight end from the class that was there that weekend. That was Evan Jacobson, who's from Iowa. Big 6'7" kid. A little bit more. He's in between the new age and the old school tight end and how he plays. He's skinnier, got to fill out a lot. He's more projectable. He's a 3.5-star kid, but does have some upside that I like. Good compliment to Preston Fryzel. I know Notre Dame is pushing him. If he called the staff today and said, hey, I'm coming, they would take his commitment. They like his commitment. Definitely still want him. There's a chance they would get to 3 if Ian Premer wants to come. And I've been back and forth on his name, but my understanding is it's Premer. That's the kid from Kansas, top 100 recruit, big-time player. That's sort of the prize of the class. That's the guy they really want at tight end in this class. And I've been told by a couple sources that Ian Premer's the kind of kid that, like, if they had 3 tight ends committed and he called and wanted to come, they're taking him. Like, he's that type of player. And now I don't know, like right now, I don't feel great about Notre Dame getting him. There's a lot of buzz about him going to either Kansas State or Iowa State. I just don't think he wants to go away from home. That's really what it boils down to. I think he wants to stay close to home. But if he changes his mind and is like, I want to go play at tight end that is one of the biggest pieces left on the board. We don't talk a lot about him because he's a quiet kid, and I just don't as of right now. Like, if he was going to pick today, I don't think he'd pick Notre Dame. I don't want to say where I think he's going to go because I don't want to take any kid's moment, but I don't think it'd be Notre Dame. But the staff isn't giving up on him. They're pushing hard for him. They would love to get him in the class. And if they were smart, and I think they are, if he commits somewhere else, I'd stay on him because he is a big-time player. He's not talked a lot about, guys, because of how quiet he is and he's from Kansas and all this, but he'd be one of the best. He'd be the best tight end, in my opinion, to sign with Notre Dame, probably as a like more of a hybrid, can catch, and he's a little different than James Flanagan, but like he might be the best tight end they signed since Michael Mayer. And prior to that, probably since Kyle Rudolph, so he's that kind of player. He really is. I just don't think they're going to get him. but him coming is how they get to 3 tight ends, is if he wants to come. But they're also really like Evan Jacobson as well. It's Notre Dame, Stanford, and Texas A&M are sort of the 3 finalists for Evan Jacobson, who's from Iowa. And so he's going to decide here, I would imagine, the next couple weeks, and then we'll see how that one shakes out. But they definitely want one more tight end in the class, that's for sure.
So randomly, the kid from Iowa doesn't have Iowa on his list?
He's got Iowa State. He likes Iowa State.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So it's his 3 are Notre Dame, Kansas State, and Iowa State are the 3 schools that are sort of the finalists for him. So not sure why he doesn't like Iowa or didn't look at Iowa.
I was just curious since he's a tight end.
I'm actually going to look that up, but I'm going to imagine that part of that is I wonder if part of that's like distance. So that's a good question. I'm actually I'm intrigued, Vince, because I'm curious about. No, he's from.
Sorry about that.
No, Evan Jacobson is from Iowa.
Yeah,
Ian Preem from Kansas.
Okay.
So there was 3 kids from the Midwest they were looking at. It was Isaac Jensen, who's from Nebraska. It was Ian Preemers from Kansas, and then Evan Jacobson's from Iowa.
Right. That's what I said. You didn't have Iowa.
I was thinking Preemer.
Yeah, he doesn't have Iowa on his deal, right?
He's the exact opposite. He's getting out of the region.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
He's either going to A&M, Stanford, or Notre Dame. He's not looking at any of the regional schools. Preemer's the exact opposite. He's only looking at regional schools.
He wants to be close.
Notre Dame.
Okay.
Yeah, and so if Notre Dame can convince him, hey man, like you can come be part of something great. What those schools are selling him is like, man, you come here, you're our only tight end. You're our guy. Like you're it. Where Notre Dame has been honest with him, saying, "Hey, like we love you, but we just look at our roster. We need multiple tight ends." And so that's kind of why his situation is a little bit different. And and you look at those schools, they don't have tight ends committed, and so that's kind of the pitch they're giving. So you can go to a smaller school, not in the spotlight, closer to home, and be the guy, or you can come to Notre Dame and still be the man, but you're the man as part of a bigger deal. And so we'll see which one of those wins out with Ian Preemer. But like that would be a huge recruitment that nobody's talking about, because I just don't think there's a lot of people that have optimism he's going to pick Notre Dame. But I love the fact that the staff is still fighting for him. But now as far as rest of it, Vince, you've got several recruitments that I think are going to wrap up soon. He doesn't have a commitment date set, but I imagine Charlie Tom is going to make a decision here publicly in the next week or 2. You've got Caden Finley's going to make his announcement between Notre Dame, Texas A&M, and there's one other school on July 4th, and then July 5th. Devin Fitzgerald will decide between Notre Dame, Clemson, and Stanford. July 11th, Nick Reddish is going to decide between Notre Dame and Virginia Tech. Elijah Golden is saying he's going to make a decision in August, so that one's going to be a little down the road. Braden Robinson is going to make a decision on July 20th, although I could see that changing. And he's going to pick between Notre Dame, Miami, and Arizona. So there's a lot that's going to be happening here in the next couple weeks, fellas. And that's the board. I mean, it's Charlie Tom at offensive line. It's Evan Jacobson, who doesn't have a commitment date set yet. It's Ian Preemer, who doesn't have a commitment date set yet. It's Elijah Golden, who doesn't have a commitment date set yet. And then it's the kids that we mentioned with commitment. I mean, they're getting close. Tank King is not going to come to Notre Dame. He didn't make his official this week. They dropped Brian Williams. Jaden Warren's not looking at Notre Dame. I mean, the board is it's this. This is the board, and now it's about closing on it. Mm-hmm. And so far, so good. Batting 1,000 so far, guys.
4 for 4.
It's been really impressive. Really impressive.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So if you're late to the game, Notre Dame lands yet another commitment to the 2026 class. Preston Fryzel, tight end, 6'4", 215 out of Toledo, Ohio. First tight end off the board and into Notre Dame's class. 20th overall commitment for Notre Dame. So things are still humming. Things are still going.
It is interesting, Vince, that we didn't say this. This is the one position that Notre Dame has not touched yet in this class until today. Right. I mean, they've got a quarterback. They got 2 running backs. They got 2 receivers. They got 5 offensive linemen, 2 DNs, 1 D tackle, 2 linebackers, 3 corners, 1 safety. Going into last week, there was 2 positions that Notre Dame had not touched yet, safety and tight end. Well, Friday they get Joey O'Brien, so that takes care of safety. And now today, tight end. So they've now got somebody everywhere. Even though they're not done yet, they have at least one commitment at every position now, offense or defense.
Trevor.
And no kickers, Vince. I'm sorry, no kickers.
I was just gonna say, Trevor, I'm disappointed because
they got a kicker last year that can literally do everything. So and then they offered a long snapper in 27 this past week.
Interesting.
So with Joseph Vinci and some of those other guys, there's and Andrew Cross, they have multiple years of eligibility left, so they're gonna space that out a little bit more.
Which makes perfect sense.
Right. When the 27 kid shows up on campus, Joseph Vinci will be a senior. And I think Andrew Cross will be a redshirt senior. So you get that. That's what Notre Dame's always like to do, is get that your future long snapper on campus for a year with your current long snapper, and then redshirt him, and then he plays 4 years. And so that's why they offered a long snapper next year. But just to let you know where they are in special teams.
You,
but it was important to say, now, look, with Joey O'Brien, your last 2 commitments have now got it to the point where you've had an impact at every position now. And I think that matters.
Yeah, no, appreciate that very much. So that's going to do it for our commitment show concerning Preston Fryzel. And you probably would have had a good idea where this was trending if you were on the boards@irishbreakdown.com. Just trending. We don't announce anything, but trending in that neighborhood. So if you want intel, you got to get over on the premium message board. It's boards@irishbreakdown.com. In the meantime, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, share with your family and friends, because you never know who you're going to run into at Costco. That's all there is to it. So appreciate you guys all being here today to share in the excitement of Notre Dame's 20th commitment, Preston Fryzel, and we'll see what comes next. You're going to have to hit that notification bell. Yeah, appreciate that, Sly Fox. Appreciate that very much. Hit that notification bell, because you never know when there might be an unscheduled show just popping up. So you got to make sure you hit that notification bell so you can hang with us and celebrate the next recruit jumping into Notre Dame's recruiting class. So really exciting stuff. Again, 4th one out of that recruiting weekend, and there's definitely more to come. So stick with us, boards.irishbreakdown.com, for all those dominoes to fall. So for Trevor and Brian,
and y'all will see me in less than about an hour. Sean and I are going live at 1 o'clock for the RTCF show. We're going to break down the 2027 quarterbacks that were offered this weekend. Talk a little bit about this weekend's recruiting visits. We'll talk about, is Notre Dame's program better with all the changes that happened this offseason or not? And then, is college football more competitive now than it was in the pre-NIL, pre-portal era? And is that going to stay the same? So that's what Sean and I are going to talk about in today's RTCF, which is going to start here in about an hour. So go get some lunch, rest up, come back and join us in an hour.
There it is.
So thanks for everybody for being with us. We'll see you again soon on the Irish Breakdown Podcast.